Your extended forecast.
You're watching the Weather Channel. Live by it. Live, you're watching the Weather Channel, Evening Edition.
Folks in Texas continue to feel the effects of Tropical Storm Claudette. The storm has lost strength since hitting land, but it's not gone yet.
This video shows the fury of what was then Hurricane Claudette as it made its landfall at Port O'Connor, Texas. Heavy rain, whipping winds tore through the town, leaving many spots underwater. Welcome to the Weather Channel, Evening Edition West Coast. I'm Dave Schwartz.
And I'm Sandra Diaz. What a day it has been for Texas today. In fact, winds from the hurricane Claudette were strong enough to tear down many trees and, yes, even whip around all the lights. And, look at all that water. Traffic lights in Freeport were just certainly not a thing of today's use. Freeport is south of Houston and about 70 miles up the coast from Hurricane Claudette before it made landfall. Even being that far, it still managed to bring a lot of wind and a lot of rain. Our very own meteorologist Jeff Morrow has been in Port O'Connor, Texas since before Claudette ever made landfall. And as Jeff reports, folks felt Claudette's full fury as it was hit with
Hurricane Claudette slammed into Port O'Connor, Texas during the day on Tuesday. High winds at times gusting upwards of hurricane force and even above, close to 90 miles an hour. That kind of wind does some damage, and we have had some damage reported all around Port O'Connor, and the power continues to be out as we head through the overnight hours. All in all, it was one heck of a day. The sights, the sounds of a hurricane. The worst of Claudette roared into Port O'Connor, Texas at around 10 a.m. local time. Strong winds with gusts near 90 miles per hour ripped through the area while high waves battered the coast.
Behind me you can see storm surge coming in at least 2 to 3 feet. It is really wicked here right now. It's probably the worst of the storm. Hopefully we'll get into the eye soon and things will start to calm down.
This is part of the storm surge that came in here off of the Bay of Matagorda, upwards of about 3 or 4 feet. If you pan up here, you can actually see the sun is out now here in the eye. What a dramatic change from what we had just a few minutes ago when you couldn't see probably more than 10 or 15 or 20 yards down the street. The air filled with spray and rain and debris flying. It was quite a scene here. And again, just as fast almost, it's gone now to just a very light breeze, and the waves have actually calmed down on Matagorda Bay. The backside of the storm was not as ferocious, but Claudette did cause some flooding, ripped off roofs, and downed power lines. And now the cleanup can begin. And again, it does look like the worst of this hurricane is over with now. From here on out, looks like we'll have some sunshine, and the cleanup will have to begin when the sun comes up tomorrow. I'm Jeff Morrow reporting from Port O'Connor, Texas.
Boy, oh boy, it was a mess out there as folks had to endure what is now Tropical Storm Claudette. But many folks now are having to endure maybe not such strong winds and maybe not such fierce rain, but nonetheless, still, there's a lot of wind and rain. Cotulla, Texas, right now reporting a 53-mile-per-hour gust just within the last hour. Winds from Tropical Storm Claudette are up to 50 miles per hour, so within the storms we can get some much stronger gusts still as we head in through the overnight hours. It's located at 70 miles south-southwest of San Antonio, Texas, moving westward at 14 miles per hour. You can see the track here as it made its way from the central Gulf of Mexico in near Port O'Connor and then tracked across Victoria, now heading just south of San Antonio. And here are some of the reports from earlier today from Claudette as it made impact on Calhoun County. That's in the coastal areas of Texas. Port Alto Every single structure was damaged. Port Lavaca, well, a high school lost their roof. And in Seadrift, Texas, the sustained winds were up to 97 miles per hour and gusts were up to 111 miles per hour. Oh, the Coast Guard also had to rescue 2 fishermen Tuesday after their shrimp boat sank near Port Arthur. Port Arthur's just outside of Beaumont near the Louisiana state line, so folks even that far north were having to deal with the effects as wind and rain from Hurricane Claudette battered that area. The rescue men were from Louisiana and they were not injured in the storm, luckily. I'll tell you, many folks are having to deal with a lot of different type of weather here, from severe weather to falling trees to no electricity. The latest report as of midnight Central Daylight Time indicates that 70% of Victoria County right now
forecast. On Thursday, we'll see fair skies. Look for a chance of thunderstorms on Friday. And on Saturday, expect fair skies.
It's 10 minutes before the hour and time for your tropical update, which right now means taking a look at the effects of Claudette. Well, living on stilts sure came in handy for folks in Surfside, Texas today. Hurricane Claudette caused extensive inland flooding and some wind damage to the coastal town. Surfside is south of Houston, about 70 miles northeast of where Claudette made landfall. There's a chance of more showers and storms here tonight. But the focal point for Claudette now is not as much damage at the coast due to flooding or severe weather in the form of tornadoes. It's strong winds and flooding. Flooding now, number 1. More people die in tropical cyclones coming on shore due to flooding away from the coast than any other way. So perhaps we're into the most deadly part of Claudette, now tropical storm. Claudette a week ago, July 8th, out here in the eastern Caribbean. Slow to organize, but nevertheless brought some wind and rain here to Jamaica, skirted the Yucatan Peninsula, and then made its way into the Gulf of Mexico. And then just before making its way on shore, about 20 hours ago, it really came together. Did you see that eye? Claudette strengthens to Hurricane Claudette. It was a Category 1 officially as it made landfall. Now it's weakening as the center is overland. Tropical storm Claudette with maximum sustained 50-mile-per-hour winds. And I'll tell you, we can pretty much verify that because as Claudette, at least what was the eye wall of Claudette, moved across Interstate 35 here in South Texas. Out here at Cotulla, the wind was sustained at 40, gusting to 53.
Forecast for your area. Your extended forecast.
Welcome back. Hurricane Claudette now embedded within the Texas coast and is coming into Mexico now. The last advisory written at 10 o'clock local time last night. Still has wind out there. On occasion, some winds gusting to 40 miles per hour, but it's no longer classified as a hurricane storm or even a depression. However, it is quite a wind maker and still a rain maker, too. Note the big spin. It'll be crossing into Mexico south of Del Rio. Plenty of rain overnight and this morning. Flood warnings and flood watches up for many areas here, primarily in the southern hill country and out to the Rio Grande, west of San Antonio. Plenty of rain going around Hondo and also down around Cotulla. And as said, even with these bands of rain coming in, some wind gusts as high as 35 and 40 miles per hour. Climatologically now, watching in the middle of July, the western Atlantic still. You may remember the origin of Claudette. It was classified as a depression in the Caribbean and a storm southeast of Jamaica. That's the area to watch this time of the year. Not saying there's much out there now. There is a low out here, a subtropical low that'll likely be drifting east of Bermuda. It may get classified as a depression, but it should only be a worry to the shipping lanes of the Atlantic. Otherwise, the Caribbean Sea and the islands from Hispaniola and Puerto Rico down to Barbados in good shape. One area along the intertropical convergence zone bears watching southwest of the Cape Verde Islands. We'll have plenty of time to watch that. The Mexican shore, a lot of disturbances out there, but nothing organized right now. Stateside, the weather, Kim talked about storms going in South Dakota, spreading down to Nebraska, also watching the northeast. Plenty of rain now in the Hudson Valley, north of New York City, getting into the Berkshires as well. Severe threat here, pretty high from Boston south later on today. Kim?
And Marshall Cease joins us now from Your Weather Today. Good morning, Marshall.
Good morning, Kim.
How are you guys going to follow the remnants of Hurricane Claudette?
Well, we'll track the heavy rains pushing across Texas from the storm, similar to what Bill just showed you, and we'll have the latest on the storm's impact as those that were hard hit by the storm sift through the damage. And we'll show you where you can look forward to some dry, nice weather for your weekend. Now, Kim looks at the economic impact of Hurricane Claudette.
Well, those businesses in and along the Gulf are assessing the physical and economic damage from Claudette. Bloomberg Money Barometer looks at the effects on gas and oil operations.
Good morning. Tropical Storm Claudette, which was downgraded from a hurricane, still left its mark on the Gulf of Mexico. Several thousand customers in southeast Texas were without power as the storm moved ashore. Gas production in the Gulf has also been affected. Government officials say Claudette reduced total crude oil production in the Gulf of Mexico by 21% and natural gas production by 18%. Companies
of Weather Center. And good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Perez.
And I'm Ebony Dion. We're tracking the rain that continues to fall in West Texas from the remnants of Hurricane Claudette.
But Texas isn't the only place that rain will be falling today, and where we could see some isolated severe storms in the northeast, especially here in maybe southern New Jersey around the Delmarva Peninsula. In the south, scattered storms. In the southeast, remnants of Claudette still dealing with some heavy rain in West Texas. Still very hot. But we are looking at some isolated storms here in the west, especially around the Four Corners region. Now with an update on the southeast and Claudette, here's Ebony.
Claudette is really leaving its mark on southern Texas. We're seeing the rain coming down as of now, and there's more to come even as we get into the afternoon. Heavy rain into parts of southwestern Texas, so definitely watch out for any travel plans. It looks like we'll see a lot of wet weather all along the Gulf Coast, so travel heading out along I-10. Watch out for those showers and storms as they develop. Memphis looking pretty good. It looks like we'll see more sun than clouds with a high up to 94, and it is going to be hot. Places not dealing with the clouds and rain, Dallas and Tulsa, highs in the upper 90s. Now, as we take a look at the satellite radar, you can clearly see Claudette continuing to spin and make its way off to the west. As it does, it's putting down some heavy rainfall into parts of southwestern Texas. Flooding is one of the remnants of Hurricane Claudette. To South Texas, the high water slows the cleanup efforts, and residents in Galveston have to make repairs to beachfront homes. They'll also have to clear streets of debris left by the flooding storm surges. Now, as we take a closer look in towards Claudette, it's finally making its way just a little bit further north and west of Del Rio, but we've still gotten in on our fair share of rain earlier today. Looks like we're dealing with some light rain showers around Houston, so I-10, it looks like travel is going to be a little bit of a mess. Further east, rain should be a little bit lighter, about a few tenths of an inch to maybe upwards and up to a half an inch into Birmingham, around the Huntsville area as well. But locally heavy rainfall, we could see 3 inches of rain. Looks like those storms moving out of the Tennessee area are pushing now into northern Alabama. So Huntsville, watch out for those storms. Looks like we could see a few more going into the evening hours, even in towards the Atlanta area. And then by Thursday, Atlanta dries out, Memphis as well. Looks like most of the stormy activity will be along the Gulf Coast and again, of course, southern Texas. Kim?
In the Northeast, if you tucked an umbrella in your briefcase this morning, you'll be glad. Here's one place you may need it: New York, Mexico, and also here in the Caribbean. But look in the Atlantic. Look at this wave that has come off of Africa. This bears watching, and we'll keep you up to date on this. Let's give you an update here on Tropical Depression 5, just classified. The winds are at 30 miles per hour, and it is forecast to stay a tropical depression, but it could flirt with a tropical storm, you know, within the next day or so. But the upper level winds are not favorable, and as it moves towards the west or towards the northwest, or then towards the east, it will encounter some cooler waters, and so it's not expected to develop into a hurricane. But if it would be a tropical storm, it would be Danny. Now here's Bermuda, and it's very far from Bermuda. It's not expected to get anywhere near Bermuda, so we think we're going to be okay. It's way away from the United States. We don't have to worry about this at all. Here's a satellite picture, and it is a little bit better organized, and there is a low pressure area with this, and still looking at a little bit of outflow here on the northern side of it, a little anticyclone aloft here, and that may help it get its little act together here. Here in the Gulf of Mexico, it's quiet. What's left of Claudette, here it is, made landfall yesterday around Port O'Connor, Texas, in the Matagorda Bay. But as you can see here around Del Rio, it has moved through. The heaviest stuff over with, we think, in Del Rio. Now you can still see the spin here with it, causing some heavy rain across Mexico now. As it moved through Houston, thank goodness it didn't produce a lot of rain, but it did produce a lot of rain and actually a lot of flooding here around Galveston. And looks like high water damage here. The Galveston area is one of 15 counties with ripped roofs and destroyed buildings in the wake of the hurricane. The governor of Texas is seeking federal disaster aid. And a lot of that, you know, it's an island. A lot of the water came over the top here, causing a lot of the damage. And the winds were pretty strong, too. Gulf of Mexico and Caribbean also very quiet. And again, this wave here, this is the one we're watching for possible development. At least right now, there is not an area of low pressure with it. Now, in the eastern Pacific, we're looking at this area here just south of Acapulco. This could become a tropical depression, as well as this area here to the southwest of Cabo San Lucas. And that's your tropical update. Now let's look at what's happening around the country. Here's Ebony.
Well, residents in parts of Texas now begin the cleanup from Hurricane Claudette, and judging from the destruction created by the storm, it's going to take some time for communities and residents to get back to normal. Wendell Edwards of KHOU TV gives us a recap in this report from Surfside, Texas.
It is the morning after in Surfside Beach, and Hurricane Claudette has surely left its mark. Yesterday around this time, there was water everywhere as Hurricane Claudette moved in here in the early morning hours, leaving heavy rain and heavy winds in the process. Just to let you know how much water was here, take a look at this line. We are at the anchor. This is the church in the community, and this line marks just how high the water got. If I put my leg to it, you can see that the line is right above my knee. So the water got to be knee high. It also got inside the church. There was some debris inside this door. This is what people, residents of Surfside Beach, are going to have to do today. They're going to have to start cleaning up and picking up the pieces. Another thing that Hurricane Claudette did was spark some fires. It also burned some homes. You can see about a quarter of a mile down, the smoke just smoldering. There were flames there around 4 a.m. this morning. We're told there were about 3 homes that caught on fire. Just another residual, another remnant of Hurricane Claudette. Again, morning has broken here. We're beginning to see some signs of people getting out, assessing the damage again, and beginning to picking up the pieces and cleaning up after the storm. Reporting in Surfside Beach for the Weather Channel, I'm Wendell Edwards. Now back to you.
And thanks a lot. Claudette has continued to put the rain down into parts of Texas, and our main concern across the southern part of the Lone Star State is flooding. A little bit further north, we're dealing with showers and the threat for thunderstorms, some of which could become strong, maybe even reaching severe limits through Minnesota down towards Iowa and even parts of northeastern Nebraska. And these are the areas that could pick up on some strong gusty winds, along with large hail if any storms definitely become strong as we go into the afternoon. Mainly just some light rain showers now moving through Minnesota, the Twin Cities in pretty good shape. We could see an isolated storm later, but again, we have that rain coming down in association with what's left of Claudette, and it looks like we're seeing a few lightning strikes, but not in the area where we're really seeing the rain, but definitely some lightning strikes becoming a little bit more frequent into northern parts of Tennessee. But again, lighter rain showers moving northwest of Del Rio.
Why are so many people coming to Lowe's for flooring?
We want wall-to-wall carpeting in the living room.
Lowe's introduces Mohawk Premier Living Carpets.
I love soft carpet.
But it's gotta last. It's one of the softest, most durable carpets available.
It is Wednesday, July 16th, 2003, the peak of summer. I'm just going to do